Hi, Anton. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do and why you're here?
So I work for PlayStation R&D, and we're the guys that were responsible for the software portion of the PlayStation Move. In particular, the Move combines camera information with the inertial sensors, and I'm the guy that worked on the camera portion of it. So I'm the guy that's tracking the big glowing sphere on the end. And I'm here showing you guys different game applications that we've come up with for the this new interface.
I've been playing a lot of Move over the Christmas holidays and trying lots of different games. What was some of the processes that you went through from the beginning to end up with the glowing orb?
So that really all started back with iToy for PlayStation 2. So iToy was our first foray into kind of motion gaming, and we used the camera. Kind of the motto there was no buttons, anyone can play, anyone can understand it, jump around. The problem we found there is that, those games were very fun, but they kind of couldn't keep going with them. We kind of ran into a roadblock, and the designers were always asking us for some kind of rudimentary button input, even just like 1 or 2 buttons. Then they were also asking for more precise tracking for things like swords or magic wands. With the PlayStation Eye, the resolution's much higher, so we can make a much smaller ball. And then we can use the light inside to combat lighting conditions. So one of the biggest problems with iToy was lighting conditions. It would get too dark and then it wouldn't detect you very well. So the sphere helps us with that. So really kind of that whole process of making it work very robustly so that developers have something that they can make the games that they want to make with. I think a lot of times people think about motion control games as just kind of physical kind of exercise or just kind of gimmicky. But the point is, with this device, you actually get way more degrees of freedom than you can do with a DualShock. So for spatial tasks, it's much better than the DualShock, actually. So there's not like a trade-off you make. So a spatial task that would be really hard with the DualShock. So I'm a chameleon. That's why you haven't seen chameleon games very often, probably. So as a chameleon, the way the chameleons climb is they kind of grab stuff and kind of go around. And what's neat about this is that it's very intuitive. In the end, once the dust settles, people will start to understand what these things are good at, what they're not good at. People really understand the mouse, for example. They know what to do with the mouse, but know what not to do. It's not going to be like, this is the one definitive controller. I don't think the industry will move clearly to that, just because I really like the DualShock. I really like Street Fighter on sticks and things like that. So I don't want to get rid of it. I think what's going to happen more and more is like you'll diversify in terms of the different kinds of peripherals, and games will just become better in their respective genres.
We've seen games like Start the Party and the sports and darts and bowling, different elements like that. What's next for the Move as far as gameplay and game types go?
The Move lets you track your hands, and it lets you track the grasp of your hands. The analog trigger is actually designed to be this long throw trigger to really feel like a visceral grabbing experience. So anything you can do with your hands, you can now do in a game, which is really kind of powerful. So boxing, I don't have to just throw punches. I can grab a person's head and then punch with the other hand, or I can grab them and throw them. These kind of game interactions are going to start to surface. You're already seeing this in sports where you pick and throw objects up, but it doesn't have to be objects. For creation, it means like having a 3D mouse effectively. You have something that can control a cursor in 3D space, not just 2D space. So when you think about drawing and making levels, you can now do that in 3D. So Little Big Planet 2 is going to be taking advantage of that. So the simplest way to think about it is hands. Games you've ever wanted to do where you just want to do stuff with your hands, that's going to be probably a big genre.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being a part of our Game Design Expo and sharing your information with us.
Thank you very much.